Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Fabrizio Romano shares what he is now hearing about Kai Havertz at Arsenal. Kai Havertz hasn't had the best of starts to life at Arsenal. The German has struggled to make any sort of impact since signing for the North London club. He failed to register a single goal or assist since arriving at the Emirates, and fans are starting to lose patience. While supporters are getting fed up with Havertz, the club aren't losing faith in the former Chelsea man just yet. Indeed, according to Fabrizio Romano, writing for Count Offside, Arsenal's board and Mikel Arteta are standing by their man as they plan to protect Kai Havertz, as they see him as a player who can play an important role for the Gunners in years to come. Romano shared what he knows about Havertz. He said, "Of course, it was not an easy beginning of the season for the player, but the message coming from the club and the coaching staff, those close to Mikel Arteta and those close to the board, is that they will protect Kai Havertz." Arsenal were fantastic last season, so for Havertz to adapt to new tactics, new methods, and a new way of playing was not completely easy, but the club are absolutely confident and trust him. They paid big money because they believe that he is an important player with skill and good potential to show in the future. Of course, as I mentioned, not an easy August or September for Kai Havertz, but the Gunners will keep going with him. No drama, no panic, and they are prepared to fight together. Arsenal are currently sticking with Kai Havertz, but we have to wonder how long this experiment can go on for. The German, quite simply, hasn't been good enough this season, and we have to think that if his form doesn't improve soon, he will be dropped. Havertz has to improve if he wants to keep his place in the team, that's for sure. Mikel Arteta so impressed with £30 million Arsenal players' display versus Brentford last night. Mikel Arteta has singled out Aaron Ramsdale for praise after Arsenal beat Brentford in the League Cup last night. The Gunners booked their place in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup with a 1-0 win at the Gtech Community Stadium. Arteta made plenty of changes as he brought in the likes of Aaron Ramsdale, Jakub Kiwior, Takahiro Tomiyasu, and Emile Smith Rowe. Nelson's early effort in the first half proved to be the difference between the sides after Arsenal pounced on a Brentford mistake. Much has been made about Arteta's decision to drop Ramsdale in recent weeks, as the goalkeeper has lost his place in the side to David Raya. The 25-year-old has been ever present for the Gunners over the past couple of seasons after taking Berlino's place in the side. Speaking to the media after last night's game, Arteta was full of praise for Ramsdale's efforts between the sticks. He said, "He's been exceptional around the place with the situation, and like everybody, like Jakub, he played really well. Tomiyasu, Georgie, after what happened 3 days ago, he reacted and played a really good game. Reece, who hasn't started many games, scoring the goal with Emile, and for Charles, it was a big day for him. It's great to have an academy player with us. A lot of positives to take, and as always, a lot of things to improve as well." It will certainly be interesting to see if Ramsdale starts in any Premier League games over the coming weeks. Arteta has insisted that he will use both Ramsdale and Raya over the course of the season. Mikel Arteta admits 23-year-old Arsenal player picked up an injury last night. Mikel Arteta has admitted that Emile Smith Rowe picked up a knock last night as Arsenal beat Brentford in the League Cup. Arteta made plenty of changes to the side that drew to Tottenham on Sunday, with the likes of Reece Nelson, Ramsdale and Kiwior all coming in the starting lineup. Nelson's first half strike proved to be the difference between the sides and booked Arsenal's place in the next round of the Carabao Cup. The Spaniard also handed youngster Charles Jr. his debut, while Emile Smith Rowe started for the first time this season. Smith Rowe has struggled for minutes over the past year after falling down the pecking order under Arteta. The 23-year-old started in midfield last night and put in an encouraging display considering he'd only made two substitute appearances beforehand this season. But Arteta has admitted that Smith Rowe has picked up a knock, so the Arsenal boss was forced to manage his minute last night. Speaking to the media after last night's game, Arteta singled out Smith Rowe for praise. He said, I think he had really good moments in the first half, and the game was much easier for him. The way he was developing with his qualities, and the game we started to play after 5 or 10 minutes in the second half, and then after he was struggling more physically, he is still not there to play 90 minutes. We have to bear in mind that we have 4 or 5 players in that field, and that was big concern for us in the lineup because we have 7 at Conley that are not fit now. He did pick up a knock, but it wasn't because of that. We had to manage his minutes. His load has seen a big spike in the last 2 weeks as well, and he was struggling to finish the game. The same with Reece. Jurriën Timber had a one-word message for underrated £5 million Arsenal player last night. Arsenal defender Jurriën Timber took to Instagram last night to celebrate the return of Mohamed Elneny against Brentford. Timber was clearly watching the Arsenal game at home and posted a message for Elneny on his story. The Dutch defender simply commented, Mo, with a folded hands emoji and a heart, and Timber will surely be joined by the whole of the Arsenal community in wishing Elneny a happy return. The Egyptian was introduced in the 82nd minute to see out the game and sat alongside Jorginho in midfield. Jorginho enjoyed a much better night as he wore the captain's armband for Mikel Arteta's side. The Italian led by example and took a lot of responsibility in a heavily changed team. Of course, Arteta would have loved to have the likes of Timber available alongside Elneny for Arsenal right now. A small injury crisis has hit the club, and it still seems like there will be decisions to be made ahead of a trip to Bournemouth. Bukayo Saka's fitness seems to be in the balance, even if Arsenal fans are hopeful. Both Thomas Partey and Declan Rice are thought to be missing from the visit down south. Therefore, both Jorginho and underrated Elneny will be needed in similar fashion to last night. Mikel Arteta seems likely to start with Jorginho again. Elneny's return in midfield makes Arteta's options look stronger there too. What Martin Odegaard did at full time after Arsenal beat Brentford last night. Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard has now caught the attention of fans for what he did at full time after the Brentford win last night. As usual, Arsenal's players headed towards the away end to pay tribute to their travelling fans, and Odegaard could be seen pushing Mohamed Elneny in front of the Arsenal fans in order for the Egyptian to get a huge applause on his return. Moreover, Odegaard then grabbed youngster Charles in order to make sure he also received recognition on a huge night for him. And if that wasn't enough, Odegaard then finished off by giving his shirt to a fan. The Norwegian being a class act as always, it turned out to be a good night all around for Arsenal, who get the job done in difficult circumstances. Mikel Arteta's side was heavily rotated, but the win was a testament to Arsenal's improved squad depth, being able to call on the likes of Aaron Ramsdale, Takehiro Tomiyasu and Emile Smith Rowe when rotating is a huge credit to the strength of the side. All of those three impressed on the night, along with the likes of Jorginho and Reece Nelson, and it will certainly be interesting to see who plays alongside Odegaard as Arsenal travel to Bournemouth following the Brentford win. Tomiyasu must be making a serious case for a start after his heroics, something that could also be said for Jakub Kiwior. Mikel Arteta now has 3 tricky fixtures to navigate before the October international break. After their trip to Bournemouth, the Gunners will travel to Lens before they return to face Manchester City, and Arsenal's win against Brentford will be a huge boost for Odegaard and his teammates ahead of these crucial games. Of course, all eyes are already leaning towards that fateful tie with Pep Guardiola's side. Arsenal and Newcastle seriously interested in signing a 28-year-old Frenchman. French international midfielder Adrien Rabiot continues to be linked with a move away from Juventus in recent weeks. A report from calciomercato.it claims that the 28-year-old is an object of desire for many teams, and the likes of Arsenal and Newcastle are seriously interested in him. The midfielder's contract with Juventus will expire on June 30, and it remains to be seen whether the two English clubs decide to make a move for him in January. He could be available for a knockdown price during the winter transfer window. The Italian outfit will not want to lose a player of his caliber on a free transfer, and it remains to be seen how the situation develops. His future at the Italian club is certainly uncertain, and Juventus will want to sort out the situation soon. Arsenal could certainly use more quality in the middle of the park, and Rabiot could prove to be an upgrade on players like Thomas Partey and Mohamed El-Neni. As far as Newcastle are concerned, they need to add more depth and quality to the side. Rabiot could be the ideal partner for the likes of Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. Newcastle are in the Champions League, and they need players like him in order to progress as a club. The 28-year-old could be tempted to move to the Premier League, and the opportunity to join a Champions League level club can be hard to turn down. The 2022 World Cup finalist might look for new challenges at this stage of his career, and a move to English football could be ideal for him. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal have asked how much a brilliant player would cost in January. Arsenal have started the season brilliantly. The Gunners are unbeaten after 6 Premier League games so far this term, but despite their strong start in terms of results, there is a feeling that they could be even better. Indeed, while Arsenal may be yet to lose a game, they haven't exactly been blowing teams away as of late. They have scored just 11 league goals so far, which is fewer than any of their other top 4 rivals. Many have suggested that Arsenal need a striker, and the good news is that help could be on the way, according to Fabrizio Romano. Speaking on the Here We Go podcast, Arsenal are really interested in the idea of signing Ivan Toney from Brentford next year, and according to the journalist, the Gunners have now asked how much the forward would cost in January. Romano shared what he knows about the brilliant striker. He said, "He wants to move to a top club. We know the situation is very open. He is taking into consideration many opportunities, including Arsenal. Arsenal are really interested in Ivan Toney. They are informed on the conditions of the deal. They already had some contact to ask about the potential conditions of the deal, like how much would it cost in January, how much would it cost in the summer. Arsenal are informed. This could be the signing that turns the tide in Arsenal's favor in terms of the title race. Sometimes the difference between winning a title and coming second is turning those draws into narrow wins, and a proven goal scorer is the way to do that. Gabriel Jesus does so much good work for Arsenal, but his finishing can be wayward at times, whereas Toney is ice cold in front of goal, to say the least. This could be an incredible signing, but of course, it may not be an easy deal to do. First step detailed for Ollie Watkins amidst Arsenal interest. It seems that Aston Villa striker Ollie Watkins is a wanted man, with reported interest from Arsenal not dying down. Whether a move back to London would suit the 27-year-old isn't clear at this stage, and a lot will depend on the Villains' standpoint in any event. Unai Emery would surely be loath to lose the striker. 42 goals in his Villa career so far, Pervo scored, and particularly to a direct rival in the Gunners. There is a lot of towing and froing to be done before that even becomes a possibility, and Fabrizio Romano, writing in his exclusive daily briefing column, has detailed the first steps. Aston Villa want to offer Ollie Watkins a new deal, and the player will listen to their proposal before anything else happens. That's the first step for sure, and then we will see where they will go from there. Of course, there are expected to be other strikers on the market in due course, including Ivan Toney. who is expected to move from current employers Brentford. He is unlikely to come cheap, but is virtually a guarantee of goals, so it's entirely understandable why the Gunners might be sounding out the player and his representatives at this stage. Given that it's only September, there is plenty of things that can happen between now and January, loss of form, injuries being just two that could affect any pursuit. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.